like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, but when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering?
Okay, we are unmuted, and I don't know, I haven't gotten all my measurements wrong today, or depth perception, maybe that's it. Okay, where did I leave off? Putting highlights in the kitty cat's eye. So as wished for and predicted, the rain came in time to sit down with coffee and you, or coffee and me. Okay, now it looks kind of like Barney Rubble. To celebrate the rain, I made my coffee like a cappuccino, sprinkled with some freshly ground cinnamon. So I'm virtually in heaven here. I hope you can join me. All right, Barney. Let's fuzz you up a little. Lighten it up there. Light coming from behind. Uh-oh. Did I touch the black? I must have. Let's clean that off. Luckily it's a watercolor pencil, but the black is not watercolor. Ha! Well, crappy little feral, it will fix you too. I just happen to have all-purpose glue. Wait, maybe I should do that with the hot glue. No, I think we'll do it this way. If it fails me again, I'll try the hot glue. Stick with the traditional for the moment. Okie dokie, let's use a different brush. One that's not falling apart. That's not my song. I don't want to get yelled at. Okay. We have our unrealistic cat underneath an unrealistic flowering bush. When I was a kid, I used to hide under the forsythia bush because it did kind of just make like this shower, like a tint. The plant in the middle went up like an umbrella and had privacy. Oh, because the flowers were yellow. And then when they dropped, the green came in, and it was my little hiding place in the summer, right in the front yard. Okay, yes, we are going to get to the rest of you, but for now, just rest. This has to go out on Monday. What did I do? see? Let's try and keep that intact. A tiny brush. Okay. And for an accent, Good. So we also need a little antenna. Oh, the coffee is good. And it smells good. And you are bound up, aren't you? Okay. Constipated needle. How bad? This is the biggest downside to these bottles. It's pretty much the same thing that happens when you have airbrush, like the old-fashioned kind that use a needle. Not the, we're going to turn a magic marker into an airbrush for you. A tremendous waste of money. Good man. I can force you out that way now. Almost. It's trying. We don't want a big splotch. I guess I really could just... I do have really fine spotters. Oh my God, am I getting lazy? No, I like the consistency of the needle. There we go, come on. No. Okay, now I'm getting tired of that. We're just gonna go ahead and use one of my really fine point brushes. No, that's starting to fray. What is this? 3's got a nice point. We're gonna use that. Okay. Didn't need a spotter after all. The 3 with a good point was just fine. You can do a lot with just one brush. when you get used to using it, particularly the rounds. Now, here is one. I had a couple of really nice brushes that are not here. That is too strange. Oh, I've got this. It's an 8, isn't it? Yep. And that is nice. Okay, so I did have an 8, but I thought I had a 10 too. But I don't. I do have this, which has no size because it was from Temu, from their scrap heap apparently. I got a set after I got one to check out the quality, and I really liked it, so I sent a set. But nothing has a size on it, and even two that look like they're trying to be the same size, they're not cut the same. So a lot of inconsistencies. That's why I know this came from the unmarked series. Those who wish to remain anonymous but don't want to lose all the money that they spent making it. But they are nice brushes overall. But who knows how they gauge them. Watercolors. Okay. Before you go dry out, let's put you back grape along. Okay, Gloria. The first butterfly of 2026. I'm so glad she's still with us. Oh, it spunk. All right. There's not a great deal of depth to that, that's for sure. Let's make a little purpley shadow. I'm going to use one of the brushes I was just talking about. It's subtle. Okay. Our little caddy kit. I'm speaking with dyslexia? Interesting. My caddy kit is ready to go to Gloria. We will put a note on that tomorrow and mail it on Monday. Oh, you're so good. I didn't have my coffee yesterday at the Circle. I was in a tea mood. But now I'm in a coffee mood because it's raining and it's supposed to turn to snow eventually. Yum, yum, yum. All right. The test I've been terrified to try. Let's get out the stuff we're going to be using in the end, because if that doesn't work, this idea is not going to work. But I'm not going to mess up my two favorite flowers yet. We're going to use something shittier. No, that's garbage. Why am I even keeping it? And that's also garbage. I don't like it. And these are, yeah, we need those. Oh, that's right. That's the kitty cat I need to put ears on. And, you know, a face. We'll get to that kitty cat later. We need a flower. All right. I don't mind wasting these. This is full strength. This is slightly diluted glue. But this is the professional grade stuff I'm going to use in the end. I need to see how this is going to perform when we thin it down just a little. That'll work. This amazes me that it came right out of that needle, because this stuff dries so fast and so solidly. It's sometimes a real pain in the ass. But right now we just need pure water and pure stuff. And a brush. A brush that I won't cry over if it's destroyed. Oh well, I've been using you for a couple of years now, unexpectedly. Let's go. I didn't think it would last the first week. It did lose its finest edge very fast, as predicted, but the rest has been fairly flexible and clean. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is see how well this can hold up under acrylic without me having a glob on extra stuff. I want to make it as transparent as possible, as flexible as possible, but adhered very firmly to the canvas. Another thing that has been in my consideration is the cleaning of it. You know, if you hang something on the wall, excuse me, if it's not behind a frame, I mean a piece of glass, it's going to attract dust. There's no two ways about it. And in the place I live right now, the dust is of such, well, I've never seen dust the way I see it here. If I don't sweep 2 days in a row, when the light comes across the floor, I can see waves of dust sparkling in the light. It's like an invasion of dust. All right, it absorbed really well. Now, because it's blue, that means it already had something in it to stiffen it up a bit. But I've been looking at different ways to color it, which gives me an idea. We can do that right now. Experiment number 2. That might be a little too thin. We'll see. This stuff is extremely tenacious, even in thin layers, so. Into the bottle. Oh, this is a good test. Okay. Want to hold on to some texture. Oh, if we can do the coloring at the same time we use something to hold the structure together, that would be ideal, because I'm going to need a lot of these for the big canvas. Well, that is a nice shade of blue. I like it better than the ultramarine, which is what this is. Now we can always play with color. All right, sit and dry. But also be colored. So far, so good. The next step is, after this dries, putting it onto canvas and seeing how much shape we can retain after a second wetting. Oh, So good. I feel like I'm in a coffee house in New York. Down in the village. Yeah, that I don't like. We're not using you. Well, I guess we do need different shades, but that's kind of extreme. And I do like pastel-y. Oh, hell. Too small, too big. When I did these, it was for the big canvas. I wasn't thinking of a little one. This is not really proportionate, is it? Crapola. Well, it's an experiment anyway, so we're just going to have to overlook this. I don't want to spend the next week just making teeny flowers for this one. All right, I'm going to put that on. The experiment has begun. I'm too impatient. We'll thin you out with plain water this time. No ink. All right, Don't want to collapse the floofiness. Too much weight or water. I didn't think of this earlier, but I guess because it's coffee, I should have just put a cinnamon stick in there. But then maybe it would be too much. It's pretty perfect right now. Okay, so that is as saturated as I dare. I'm going to let it completely cure overnight because it is raining, so the humidity is a little higher. And tomorrow we'll take another look at it because tomorrow's Sunday and we're always here on Sunday from 10:30 to noon. All right, let's protect you. And since I've got that out and mixed up, let's go ahead and do something else. There's that silly cat. Oh, come on now. After all that, you're going to give me difficulty. Nay, I say. And you say, oh, I don't know why I'm fussing. I'm going to be putting a hat over this anyway. Okay, now I need a different paper. Oh yeah, I need the tail. Come on, give me a curve there. Okay. I need a different paper. No, no. Oh. I think we got the perfect one. We do. One of my favorite papers full of raw material threads. I love it. Just gonna make those into bookmarks. Okay, hang out there for a minute. I love the texture of this. Why some things are hard to see. Well, with my eyes the way they are now, nowadays. it's the eyes. Okay, we need a bit of a thread. I just happen to have a bunch of them right here. Extra thread. All right, let's get you stuck on the back. Fast drying, fast drying. Well, that's fast drying. Let's use that. Duh. Just stick it in that. It's coming down. Hello, darling. I am so glad to hear that. That was a good idea. I was sitting here for so long with nobody saying anything that I love that. I hate to say the broken hearts, but it does give you that red pop. How be thee, grandson of mine? I imagine having to touch each one of those colors to make it come to life. That is very tiring. Okay, we're going to let that just sit there for a few minutes so I can put some color on this silly cat. Now, I haven't done a black cat in a while. Okay, just stay there. Well, I guess it would be better being a little fatter. Much Ado About Nothing. Have you been reading Shakespeare? Well, you're a growing, changing young man, so I know of who you have been in the past. I don't know who you are going to become. I am looking forward to seeing you continue to blossom and grow. You know, we need a little bit more water when that happens. So I haven't seen you in days. By now I'm assuming you've got your books fairly organized. There, stay. I found Shakespeare to be tedious, quite honestly. It wasn't that I did not enjoy his stories. Not that I've read all of them, by the way. Annotated Shakespeare, or else you need a Shakespearean dictionary next to you. Some stuff I knew ahead of my fellow students because I was studying on my own herbology. So, like, there's a whole Shakespeare garden in Central Park that I would love to go visit. Oh, that's good. I'm sure when you packed them up, they were already, what do you say, self-organized. Like encyclopedias, go here, A through Z. I'm having a cap with cinnamon on it. I have just been enjoying the hell out of it. It's one of the most yummy things I've made in a while in terms of coffee. Just that extra little step of whipping up your half and half. What a difference. Okay, there's the hat. That's the extra paper. Leave this out. I'll probably need this. I need color. That's it. I need to color the cat. I think we're going to go with orange. Well, let's take a look. Color chart. Whoops, here. Oh no, you're not cooperating. You know, I should have just used that dry glue, paper glue. Glue stick, that's the word. Now I've got to let this dry out. It's not going to work. Well, this is going to have to dry before I put this on anyway. Good, unwinding. You must do that. You can't think while you're still carrying the weight of the semester. We're going to go with the Payne's Gray. Little bit of bluish. Oh, it might get lost with that blue. I get that. That is something that'll get easier to deal with as you get older, because right now your brain is still learning to organize its information, and that takes time and experience, but mostly just time, the aging process itself. Good, good. I expected nothing less. Seriously. Okay, the cat's going to have to be something like it's got to go with this. And the only color that bounces out that's going to make that stand out is something opposite on the color wheel. And opposite, we already know without looking, is going to be an orange. Yeah. But that is extreme. Well, you know, I don't know why I'm sweating about all this. This is for Gloria. It's going in the mail. It's going to say, "Good morning, Gloria," on the back of it. And then ta-da, you know, so I can chill out a little bit about it. It's because I didn't do the right purple when I went over the other. It really just... So I'm not fond of that yellow, the metallic yellow. It's just too damn yellow. And green. All right, Orange Cat. You'll look cute in a hat. And then I'll let that be that. Well, I have made no progress on figuring out how to stream via the phone like I was doing successfully before. And there is literally no place to reach out to YouTube other than the forums. So I did send in a help with that video, last video I tried to make. But I don't know where we're going to go with that. Because I really want to work in the kitchen and show you how to make some really good, simple foods. So see, one of the things I use food for is gifting, as I expressed before. The way I used to always do bread. Now, to show people I'm thinking of them all year long, is I make them cookies or cake or brownies or Sesame Crunch candy and give it away for no apparent reason, although sometimes it does coincide with a holiday or their birthday. I just have no idea what the problem could be. I know. It's like coincidentally, I had two updates around the same time. One was the Samsung phone itself, and I can't undo that update to see if that's the problem. And also, YouTube made an update. So I had two things happen at the same time. I came up with one thing in the forum to check certain parameters for my video recording. That option does not exist in YouTube on my phone or in my system. So I think I have to download a video editing program to look at the last thing I uploaded that sucked and see if my settings there are matching. And I'm lost. I don't do any kind of editing like that. I'm thinking of seeing if I can go live on my Kindle. It does have YouTube. It does have mic and phone because I used to FaceTime on it. So I don't know if that'll work or not. I tried going through Prism. That got all screwed up too because it kept trying to sign me into a different account. I have two YouTube channels. I'm going to have to delete my Adrienne Austin one, apparently. I think the only thing I've got on there is a song I didn't want to forget the words to while I still remembered them, and I made a recording. So I don't need to keep it. This is the channel all the other stuff has been accumulating on over the years. Now, problem with recording on Kindle is it's really hard to set up in a position that accommodates the viewer. It's not as directional. It's just the camera sucks compared to what you have on your phones these days. Now I'm talking about Kindle Fire HD. It was their most up to date one when I got it, but I don't know where that stands now. And I'm going to have to replace it in the very near future. And I'm looking at other pads so I don't have to buy an Amazon product. Yes, I did. It was not helpful. It suggested everything I'd already tried. So, you know, I keep ending up back on square one. Right. Well, you know, I guess I can try again. I don't know how to communicate with it at the same time I'm trying to change something on the phone, though. All right. That is orange. That is ugly. It's standing out. Maybe pink is not the good color. Oh, I keep forgetting about that laptop, actually. I use it so rarely. I don't like the keyboard on my laptop. It doesn't have the feel I like. I mean, I work with it. I've been downloading my writing so I can work it offline. Well, that's pretty interesting. We ended up with that's funny. All right, now it's gonna dry. I may go with another piece, which I do have. I'm just going to have to wait. I spend I spend 2 hours figuring out this declension. I don't know what that word is, declension. Now I'll have to finish my notes in it. Oh, okay. There are ways to learn a language faster by learning some words and then making your own sentences with them so that you're not just repeating. Kind of like when I learned the guitar, I hate practice, repetition. So every time I learned a new chord, I wrote another song. So I had no choice but to keep practicing. And every time I learned a new chord, I wrote a song with one more chord. So then it became easier to practice because then I was being creative at the same time. Mr. Shiny hasn't replied. Well, that's no surprise. That's a very male thing. He's busy with his shit too, so. Oh, okay. Interesting. It'd be nice if we can just get rid of all that gender-related shit like that. It's not original. Richard Feynman, the physicist, became a polyglot that way. He's got some good tips. Memorizing is, I think that's one of the worst things. That's how we're taught early on. And like multiplication tables, you've got no choice with some of them to memorize. But then I have to ask myself, is it really necessary that I memorize 12 times 12 times 12 and blah, blah, blah? I can do it on paper, I don't have to memorize all these times tables. I hated that. Oh yeah, you still have to study the other stuff. But I think that was his number one rule. I mean, he's got a bunch of rules for learning faster. You might want to look it up. Feynman, Feynman. I think that's, I can't remember. Just look up physicist Feynman. I have to have a meaning attached to things. And when we want to become fluent in something, we need basically to immerse ourselves in a way that makes sense to the brain. The way we learned English, it wasn't just the words. We were learning the concept and connecting things, and we had deeper connections when you knew what your bottle was as a baby, It's like an object, a feeling, a word. Well, some stuff's always going to be boring, I think. Learning the grammar and all that stuff is boring. But most people don't adhere to those rules in conversation. So it just depends on your aim. Now, you're learning things more from the scientific context, right? If you are doing it just so that you can become fluent in speaking a language, then you're going to want more normal kinds of conversational things to learn with. I've tried a few of the free programs online to learn languages. One of them had the helpful, you can hear it being said. And it is practical. You want to be able to associate the sound. I mean, if you're in Italy, you need to know what they're saying by sound. They're not gonna write out, hello, how are you? Do you need directions on a piece of paper? You have to be able to ask, where the hell am I? And where is the bathroom? I mean, more than just those phrases. You might want to say something else about that bathroom, and since you already know where it is, you're not going to have that phrase like, that bathroom was disgusting, or there was a badger caught in the bathroom. There's, you never know. So I'm looking at things differently in terms of learning more, because I'd like to learn some Spanish and French. I really need to renew the French. I loved French. And at this point, I don't know if I'll ever make it to France or even the French-speaking areas of Canada, which I would love. But, yeah, it's good for the brain to add to your linguistics. Only thing I'm missing, actually not missing, I cheated this week. I went to the grocery store and I was hungry, which is a foolish thing to do, and I know better. And usually I can maintain, but this time I ordered yodels. And I forgot when I ordered them that they come 2 to a package. I love when they're frozen. They're just little Swiss rolls, covered in dark chocolate. They're cheap. They're sugary as hell. And I really should learn how to make those rather than buy them. At least I'll know what's in them. But I bought them. And then when I saw it was 2 in a package, it's like, there's no way I'm going to only eat one. Once I open that package, it's a done deal. So my diet took a little downward turn yesterday when I ate my first package. And I only had enough control to eat one and put the other one in the freezer while I was eating the first one, because it was room temperature and I like them frozen. You want the French too? It's such a beautiful language to me. I don't know how anybody could think otherwise, but actually my friend in Ireland, he wasn't fond of French for some reason. I don't know why. Well, this is holding up very well. Apparently I did not get this into everything, but I didn't want to saturate it and make it go flat. But it's holding up its shape. It's doing pretty good. Well, I can achieve this look. It looks good. It feels alright. But I can tell you right now the problem would be cleaning it. These have to be under glass. Only other way around it would be to create a resin coat to protect it from air and, most importantly, dust. Dust degrades everything. It's pretty much a living, gross thing. And you don't want dust in your art. But it will get there, especially in my apartment. Several years ago, my sister, the one I still like and talk to, she went to France. She took her daughter there for her 15th birthday. And I don't know how long they had, not a lot of time, I think somewhere around 2 weeks, maybe a little less. But when she came back, or maybe it was before, no, it was when they came back, she decided she wanted to read Les Mis after she got to see the performance. But she wanted to read it in the original French. And I'm like, you never took any French. Is that really, I mean, she's very fluent in Spanish. A couple different Spanish dialects too. So I was surprised, you know. I asked her not that long ago, I said, did you ever learn enough French to read Les Mis? No, I gave up on that. I know. I wish I could just eliminate it. But, Charlie, even Crappy Dust came in handy as an inspiration the other day, and I came up with another character to help me with a problem in the story. And I won't be giving away what she actually does, but her title is Time Sweeper, and it does involve dust. Yeah, reading French is not the same as speaking French, not the same as hearing it. But like I said, I would still be, well, if I was to study French, I'd start all over again as if I've never taken a single class, because I don't remember shit. I mean, I remember a few words, a couple of phrases. The accent, the feel is still in me, but that's it. The understanding of the language is not. So you will love her. And that's a drag. Yeah, it's not. Especially poetry, because that can be so abstract. And it'd be very frustrating having to stop every 2 seconds and look up another word. I tried writing a song in French. I had the rhythm, I had the melody, I had the chords, couldn't make the French match. Because if you write something in English and translate it to French and vice versa, it doesn't rhyme anymore. And of course, some words are, you know, different number of syllables, so it won't even have the same tempo. So I compromised. In French class, we were taught common sayings. Que ne risque rien n'a pas rien. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I wrote the song all in French cliches. And I called it a cliche affair, because it was about a brief affair. So I loved that song, but that was the closest I ever got to writing in French. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. To strike while the iron is hot. I understand you. Do you understand me? No. Something like that. I don't know. I was only like, oh God, 18 when I wrote that. One of my very first songs on a guitar that only had 5 strings. I tuned them to an open chord because I didn't know how to tune a guitar at that point. I didn't even realize that my guitar's neck was warped, and there were some sounds I would never be able to make on it. I had to learn more, enough to discover that, but it did lead to purchasing a good guitar. Some things you just, when you're poor especially, and you have zero knowledge about something, and you go out there just craving a feeling. I needed to produce music. I mean, it was a need, like air. And I didn't have a piano, so that's where guitar came in. But if I'd gotten my hands on a banjo or a violin or anything else, I mean, as long as I could produce music where I was sitting, I would have worked on that. But guitar was what came into my hands, and it turned out to be a good one. There was a borderline pornographic, rather violent movie with David Bowie and Susan Sarandon. And it was basically about vampires. It was scary. What was it called? The Hunger, I think that was it. And The Hunger was actually the vampirism was a viral thing. The same time it turned people into vampires, it made them age at an accelerated rate, but they couldn't die. They were basically immortal, except for the head vampire, which they never did explain everything, perfectly, but considering who the stars were, people were more interested in them. David Bowie played a vampire and a piano teacher. But it was a weird freaking movie. But the reason I brought that up was because the whole concept of the hunger that overcame the people once the virus was activated. The hunger for basically fresh meat. And they couldn't stop themselves when it became overwhelming. It's like, that's how I feel about the creative urges. It's like, it doesn't matter what I do as long as I'm doing art, music, writing, cooking, creative new ways to clean the floor. It doesn't matter as long as I'm coming up with something expressive or new. I'm happy. If I'm stopped from doing that, I lose my mind. Well, actually, there was a way I combated that, but I can't take the chance that people under 18 are watching me. All right, so we have a little hat. We've got a little cat. We'll have to fix this or make another hat because I don't like the gray the way it took. That's going to be ready later or tomorrow. What do we have left? A rainy day. A few sips of coffee and nothing to eat. By way of junk food, that is. I'm not opening the yodels because then I will want 2 of them. And I haven't even had dinner yet. Well, I just found out that one of my friends and neighbors' birthday was the 9th. I can't believe I missed it. So one of the things I'll be doing this weekend is baking. But I have to I know she's not a big cake person, but she also doesn't have any teeth, so she can only eat so much of the crunchy stuff. I'll come up with something. I'll have to find out, I'll have to ask her a couple of questions, because I'm prepared to make a bunch of different things. She might want me to make her a panclit, the English muffin, the big English muffin in a pan. Came out so good. I know that there are 2 people in the building waiting for me to make that again. Because when I make that, well, now I know to freeze it right away. Cut it into the pieces you want, and then you've got your frozen English muffin whenever you want. Because I don't eat one more than one in a month or 2 or 3 months. I'm not big on bread, but oh yeah, yesterday I went looking for how to make tortillas out of black beans, canned black beans, because like I said, people in this building, we have a ton of black beans and not enough recipes. And I finally found one, but it turns out that it's so heavy in protein and fiber, it's pretty much like, it's a heavier duty thing. You can't make it really thin or it breaks. So it's a heavy tortilla that you fold up like a taco, or you can roll. And inside you're going to want more light stuff, like maybe guacamole and lettuce, tomatoes, something fresh to lift it. I thought, well, it's kind of like an inside-out taco when you think about it, like the black beans instead of beef. So you can throw your spices in with it too and cook it and make it spicy. But I found a bunch of recipes for using red lentils and chickpea flour. I found one that looked really interesting because it was coconut flour. And it was coconut flour and lentils, red lentils. That's got to smell wonderful when that's cooking. But all of them are basically things that you break down into a fine batter that you can pour into a frying pan and flip over, and 1, 2, 3, you've got a tortilla or flatbread. Okay, that's got to dry, and that's going to take overnight for sure. You go over there. Now this is, I really wish I could find this half done. No, let's try it. My friend Annie needs that painting. And I have not accomplished that yet. I really wanted to have something well before the deadline. So, like, if I could give it to her this coming week, I would be happy. And she can check off one more thing on her list, what she needs for her third book. All right. So there are 3 elements that she needs in this picture. And one of them, let's go with the really pale stuff here. One of them is going to be a tureen of soup. But that's not the main thing. It's to show that you can grow your own celery out of scraps of celery. So I've got to have the beginning of the baby celery, what it looks like in the flower pot, and the soup. So we do the soup in the middle. Then we also have the pot. And over here we're going to need a little thing for the celery, the baby celery. And you, that pot, so these are this is, now we all know what celery looks like, and then it's got little frilly things growing out of the center. big pot. All right. Right. Now what just happened? My pot is blue, but it's a dark blue. So we're just gonna pretend it's somebody else's pot. Hey. I really hate hard lines in watercolor. It's still raining. These aren't really decorated pots, are they? I see a message from somebody. For you too. Nope. Doc, are you here? Wow, you didn't say you were sick. Cat scratch fever? Holy shit. Is that why there's so many pictures of me? I do love little golden puppies. I was thinking about them today. Thank you, Maui. Jesus Christ. That's not easy to get. What the hell did you do? I haven't heard of anybody having cat scratch fever in years. I mean, I know it exists for sure. That's one of the reasons I can't have a litter box or cats. Oh, that was the best cup of coffee I've made myself in a long time. I feel totally spoiled now. Maui, are you here or no? I can't access everything at the same time. Hold on, Charlie. Let me find Messenger again. Can't take my eye off any of you for a second. You get into all kinds of mischief. So Charlie, what has been your drink of choice in the last few days? To you, all the way. The sound of tape scraping across this. Oops, wrong. How do you take your tea? Curiously, she asked. I'm curious, she asked. She asked curiously. Oh my God, you do pennyroyal as a tea? Pennyroyal is the herb. Yes. I'm not a pelargonian, huh? Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. We used to use that on our pets' collars to repel fleas. They did not like it at all. But I never realized people drink it. It's really good to have in the garden. It keeps a lot of different pests away, I believe. But the oil, It's like, whoa, I love mints, but that was, as an essential oil, really harsh. Nothing wrong with that. You're not, having a distillate or an oil of an herb is not the same as having the fresh herb. You may only need a few leaves to make a decent cup of tea. But to make a little bit of oil that makes your nostrils fall off your face, that takes a lot of the plant. But like I said, I love herbology, and I've just never been anywhere where they used that as a beverage. So I need to learn more about it. Really? Aloha. Make sure the bell is checked for notices. Sometimes it becomes unchecked for no known reason. And don't forget to like the show. Strawberry, Mr. Strawberry. So, Dr. Strawberry, what the fuck? What did you do? No wonder you're having bad dreams. Cat scratch fever. That's scary. When did you go to the doctor to get a test? Well, actually, we had a song that was very popular in the 80s, or maybe 70s, called Cat Scratch Fever, and I think it was one of the few things that was good by that band. Yeah, I know it's a song. I'm asking you, how did you get that? Yes, you do. Well, this isn't your first time here either. So what brought you to the doctor? What symptoms? That's what I'm saying. It's like you've been getting blood tests for a month and you never mentioned that you were sick to start with. We need red. Oh man. The night sweats. Is that your only symptom? Not always, no. The bacteria exists beyond a cat. Don't worry. A lot depends on what's in your soil and how healthy your cat is. Now, I do know that Maui's cat is indoors, kept clean, and is up to date on its shots. You make sure yours is up to date on its vaccinations. But don't get scared or scarred. One R and scared. That and the ghost's black eye. Are you referencing your nightmare? Okay. All right. Well, we knew that your appetite went down a while ago when you got a different sick. So it's taking them a month to figure out what it is. They just isolate the virus? Or they just call and drop that on you? You have cat scratch fever, so we're going to put you on an antibiotic. Wow. So they say how long it'll take to clear it up. You've certainly had the bad dreams. I'm glad they covered it. So it's important to get at least an annual complete blood count test and have them run the full panel. Because a lot of stuff does not make itself known. I back this beautifully undone. Oh dear. Did you rescue it? I always question them. You're an idiot if you don't question doctors. Are you kidding me? You actually say that to me? I've been telling people for years, you have to advocate for your own health. You can't expect other people, especially if you're a person of color, because people of color have had actual medical issues dismissed by their doctors because it's even checked off. You have a racial profile. It's been a serious problem in medicine the last 50 years. Oh, okay. I know, I'm familiar with those for sure. I lived on the farm. Oh, that's wonderful. Rescue. Excellent. It's the only right thing to do. It sounds like she was lost or she was dumped. That happens a lot. I hope not. She might have jumped out of a car, fallen out of a car, been dumped out of a car, and she's looking for her car, the right car. But some dogs, yeah, they just chase cars. Mine did not. But I did have Kibble, who used to not mean to run away, but she would go up to the road, and when she would see the yellow line in the road, she would follow the yellow line wherever it led. Little black dog, like a meatloaf, walking down the yellow line. And that's how we ended up being her 8th owners. Aww. I'm a big animal lover, so, you know, I get all mushy when I watch people rescuing animals. Aww. Aww. I'm glad mine did not do that. Well, you did the right thing with your father. See, there's something you and your father have in common right there. Well, back to you, Maui. I'm glad that you finally got a diagnosis, that you can start your medicine as soon as it gets to you or you get to it. And I hope that you will see a very fast turnaround in everything. I know what the sweats are like because that's what my cancer does to me. I don't even like saying my cancer. The cancer of this body causes sweating, among other things. Oh, good. You know, I love that. And there is a channel on YouTube that does, well, of course, animal rescues, dog rescues, all that. There's one like the top 5 or top 10 dogs of the week. And they raise money for getting medical help and adopting out rescued animals. And of course, they take extreme cases, and it takes a lot of money. But their merch is "Tell your dog I said hi." And I mean, it's just adorable. Like, tell your dog I said hi. Yeah, that's how I am. If I see somebody walking with a dog, my first impulse is like, I want to pet it. I control myself. Not every dog likes strangers coming up to it, especially when they're in protection mode of their owners. So I'm smarter than that, but I always want to pet them. Did you get it? Aren't you a good baby? They love hearing how good they are. Yeah, it makes a difference. They need exercise. Yeah, they need exercise. They need room for zoomies. My sister and I were talking about that this morning. I said, I'm on the top floor. I would not adopt a dog because it just wouldn't be fair to a dog in a small apartment. And with me not being able to walk like I used to. So some days it's a lot just going back and forth to the elevator. Having to make sure you get out there to walk your dog 3-4 times a day. That's a little tougher for somebody like me. afraid, at least right now, it looks like gone are the days when I could do 5 miles a day and kayak. Now this ugly red color is going to come to life. Old man disease. I didn't know there was something called old man disease, but it sounds like they got everything. I'm glad they really ran the gamut. If you have anything, they will know it. Oh, I bet your father's probably a mush at heart. It does start to run into a lot of money, though. You have to make sure that they're fixed. You have to make sure they get their monthly shots and their annuals and all of that stuff. So, yeah. Oh, I was in my element when I had 5 dogs. I was in 7th heaven. Although I think it was mostly 4 at a time. We rescued, we lost a couple, found another. But I will say that having that many animals kept me broke because I took the best possible care of them. We did not miss animal medicines. They got everything on schedule. Their flea medicine, their heartworm medicine, tick collars. When you start multiplying that by 4 dogs, more than 3 dogs and a cat, 3 dogs and 2 cats, you know, over 17 years the numbers jiggled a bit, but we always had multiples. Oh, indeed. Yes, it does. It brings out your hearts. And animals, especially dogs, like cats will learn to retreat, but dogs want their owners to be happy. And they'll go out of their way to get your attention, to paw you, to try and cheer you up. They'll lick your face if you're crying. I mean, my cat did that, but dogs are very rambunctious sometimes when it comes to making you cheer up. And exercise is very good for depression. The more exercise, actually, the less depressed you're likely to be. Now, everything had to happen in its natural way. Now you can appreciate what you've got even more. You can't go and change the past, but you got the future. So clearly your future will include a dog or 2 over your lifetime. And there is nothing like a dog or a cat. I mean, they're very different, but they're also very much alike, and people do not recognize that. But if you raise a cat with a dog, you're going to see more cat-like things from the dog and more dog-like things from the cat, because they share. Cats need stimulation. People are used to thinking of cats as being isolationists. Actually, they're very social, but they will tailor their needs to what the humans are giving them. Oh, yes. Well, yes. You want to know how long that animal has, because if they're crowded, they may only have 24 hours. They might have a week. It depends on the shelter. That's why we need support for the no-kill shelters. Well, there is an option, that middle ground of fostering, where you rescue her to make sure that she is well socialized, good with people and pets and children, etc., and you're going to adopt her out. You're just keeping her from being euthanized in a shelter. So yes, you can foster. It means you keep her for a while, but with the idea that you're going to give her up to a good home. So you can enjoy all the joys of having a dog, but with the understanding that she needs a forever home, and you want to make sure that she gets one. Now, they have no way of knowing. They'll not be able to say that most likely no one's going to pick her up. If there's not somebody out there putting pictures of her up in the neighborhood, etc., then they don't actively look for an owner if there's no microchip. They wait for someone to realize their dog is missing and make the calls to see if their dog is at a shelter or whatever you have there. Well, that is the danger of fostering. I can't foster for that very reason. I can't say I'll take somebody for a few weeks. I've done it when I took somebody babysat. I can babysit when I know it's going back. But if there's an option there available, I fall in love. I fall in love with everything. My cat decided it wanted a pet, and it found a mouse and brought it home as a pet. Her pet, not mine. Of course, I rescued it and made it my pet. I spent $65 on that mouse just to find out that it had a cold. So I totally get it. If they have a Facebook page, then yes. Yeah, if there are people there actively trying to find owners, yes, you can find out. If they have a Facebook page, then that rescue will go up on that page, or a shelter page. A lot of them are really run by humane people who want homes for them. You can't count on that down south. In America, every day, more than 10,000 kittens are abandoned, and dogs. I mean, we're talking thousands, multiple thousands, in just one county in North Carolina. It is just the most disgusting and heartbreaking reality of those people treating animals like trash, like they're disposable. We actually fished a kitten out of a dumpster where people were coming to dump their trash because the community had dumpsters, but it was a dump. You had to go there, separate everything, and there was a man who ran it to make sure that right things went right where. But even seeing a kitten in one of the dumpsters, he didn't give a shit. He thought it was funny. It'll die. It's like, oh yeah, fuck you. My husband jumped into the dumpster and rescued the kitten, which was not easy. It was very feral. But we did land it into a home. So, we can't keep everything we rescued, but we did rescue and bring it to people who were more than happy to hold on to them until they were adoptable. It'll all work out. Yeah, there are some places that you're never going to speak sense to them because they just are not seeing things the way we do. Like animals who are bred at home just to be sold to make a little extra money. Actually, a friend of mine did that. I was aghast. But as soon as she realized she couldn't get enough homes, and she ended up keeping them to make sure they were safe, she had to stop letting them breed because she couldn't afford to keep that many dogs. But she had at one time 5 dogs because she couldn't find good enough homes for them, and I respected that. Oh yeah. Well, she might not have made it a couple of days. But the thing is that you can change their personalities a bit for the better. The more attention you pay them and you work with them, they're very good at picking up English. Cats learn English very easily. Well, whatever language you're speaking around the house, they listen, they learn, they understand what you're saying. It may take a little while, but when they realize how much you love them and care about them and try to make them happy, they smooth out. And ferals tend, once they rescued and they realize they're safe, they tend to be extremely devoted to you. Everybody I rescued became a mama's boy or mama's girl. Oh, they listen anyway. Cats are not necessarily going to listen and obey, but they do hear. And they do know what they're doing. That's on their dope. Tinker, oh my God, he was a smart ass. Very, very smart cat. That's basically what killed him in the end. But, very smart cat. The light went on in his little brain with the word Q-tip when he finally made the association between the toy of the Q-tip and the object Q-tip. And that unleashed him. That opened the door. And after that, it was like Helen Keller learning the words of things. And it also meant that as he got smarter, he also got more assertive. Like the day I would not go and... I got tired of throwing the Q-tip. I would throw it and he'd go and retrieve it and bring it back to me and drop it in front of me like a dog. And he would not move until I threw it. And he would do the thing like dogs do, with a little wiggle, getting ready to race after it. If I faked it. Oh, he didn't like that. But he was just like a little dog. And I got tired of it. And so he went into the bathroom and he figured out where all the Q-tips were. And so he knocked it off the back of the toilet bowl, the tank, and opened it and chose his Q-tip and brought it to me. Of course, all of them were now his Q-tips because they were on the floor. Oh, Tinker was... I actually had to teach him that I was the boss cat. Because he would do things like, I had 7-foot bookshelves full of my art supplies and books. And some of the stuff like my tall brushes, I had to put in things on the very top because that was the only place I had enough room between the top shelf and the ceiling. And of course, him being a cat, he liked to go from the top of the refrigerator across the room, jump to the bookcases, go from bookcase to bookcase. And if he had my attention, because sometimes he would just be up there like a gargoyle, looking down and not moving, just like a little gargoyle statue. But then if he wanted your attention, he'd look right at you and push something off the shelf. And that became a battle one day. He refused to listen. I couldn't get him to stop pushing things off the shelf. And finally, I had to catch him, lay him on his back on the floor, and act like a big cat. I had him between my paws, and I bit his ear. Gently. But I made sure he understood who was the bigger cat. And we got that eye-to-eye thing going, and he understood. And he was better behaved after that. I was definitely mama cat. But there are times, if you have a really smart animal, you have to kind of connect with them on their level. So I would never hurt one of my cats or dogs, but a little nibble on the ear, if necessary, reminded them who the boss was. And considering how big their teeth can be, it's a good idea to establish yourself as the alpha dog or the alpha cat. Gently, but yeah. That's ugly. Yes, it's ugly. I agree. But we're going to keep trying these until it's not ugly. I need that rusty color. Whoopsie. One day at a time. If your father makes that decision, it'll work. If it's your idea, it's a little bit less likely. But do check on it. I love a lot of animals around me. But like I said, when you adopt, you got to make sure it's a good fit for everybody, especially the animals that are already there. As long as they all get along. Yep. You got to pick it up and dispose of it. Absolutely. Now, not that I want to give you a great deal of hope. It does cost money and it does take effort, but they do have something that people who have gardens or backyards can do. They actually have animal poop composters that are in the ground. So you have to dig the hole to embed this thing, but then you can dump the poo in there. And it is, I guess you probably have to get enzymes that match it. It's made for that purpose. And it turns it into fertilizer. So animal poop is different because they're big protein eaters, and protein does not break down the same way as the carbs and the vegetables and the paper, the cellulose. That's what you want in your compost pile. You don't want poo unless you're enriching it with a little bit of seasoned chicken or cow. I guess really chicken and cow poo is about the best. But it's got to sit a whole year getting rained on and turned over for it to break down and reduce its acid enough to be put in the garden. Well, that's it. Well, first of all, you can introduce them in a way that they get along. The trick is the new dog or cat is outside on a leash, constrained and calm when you bring the other ones out to meet them, and you act very cheerful, and isn't this a good thing? Also, you make sure that your dogs are not going to attack the newcomer. So someone's got to be holding on to the old dog as you introduce the new dog. The new dog will usually stand there terrified and will not lunge toward any other dogs. They'll just stand there waiting to see what the hell is going to happen. And the old dog is going to want to go and smell their butt and mouth. And they introduce each other and the tails start wagging. And then as soon as you see those tails wagging, you go, okay, bays, and you cheer them on and you let them loose. They will not fight. They'll go, oh, hey, okay. maybe. But it depends. If it's a he will accept the female very easily. It's another male, that would be a problem. And if it was a female that you had, another female would be a problem. If you get the opposite sex, you're going to have less problems. I never had a problem introducing my animals, but I know people have. And I think part of it is because their fear, their concerns are right there in the smell of their sweat. They're so afraid of introducing them that their anxiety is being picked up by the animals. I always had it like, hey, you're part of this family, you're all going to get along, and I won't tolerate anything but that. And everybody got plenty of love. Everybody got their own food dishes, so they had a sense of what was theirs, but they shared the water bowls. I made sure they had to share something, so they came to a new, a common thing. So our dogs all got along. We never had any ever tiffs between my dogs at all. And like I said, I have known others that have had problems. I really believe it's their anxiety more than, and the way they're introduced, more than the animals themselves. When an animal is in need of rescue, they recognize that, and they recognize rescue versus being grabbed off the street to be a participant in a dog fight. So immediately, and of course you got your pocket full of treats. You make them feel more comfortable in being introduced, and they adapt. Ours was, we just looked at it as, this is our tribe. This is our pack. You're part of the pack or you're not here at all. So all of our guys got along, and our cats as well. Tasha, the deaf one, she did not like any other cats. She behaved when she was awake, but if she was just waking up out of a deep sleep and she spotted Manushka next to her, she would whap him on the head for no reason. I mean, literally wake up and, oh, you, bam. And he would be like, all right, I'm going. Oh, no, I kept my cat's food away from the dogs. Cat's food is way stinkier than dog food, and they like that better than their own food. So our cat, I made a cat thing that was like 4 stories. Well, it was 3 stories plus a ramp. And the cat food was put up where the dogs, if they really were determined, could get to it, but they knew they weren't supposed to. And anybody that went sniffing too much around the area got chastised. So they knew, and the cats felt safer eating separated from the dogs. But we fed all the dogs at the same time in the kitchen. We lined up the bowls. And then when Glenn and I would be sitting and having our dinner or lunch or whatever, the dogs would line up. Nobody did the grab your food thing, but they all lined up. And then when we rescued Goldie, the three-legged one, she was crippled with one leg, Tasha just adopted her. My deaf cat, who was like 15 years old already, just immediately fell in love with Goldie the second she spotted her. She came down from her cat thing, went right up to her and started rubbing against her like they were born together. It was the strangest and most beautiful thing that happened. So Goldie brought Tasha out of her shell, and when Goldie sat down to wait for her turn to get a snack or a piece of our leftovers, Tasha sat right next to her, like she was waiting for her little treat. So I think it's more than humans who come here repeatedly. We work together on every single level. So yeah, it was really interesting to see that kind of bond happen so instantly. Yeah, dogs will argue with you about who gets that cat food. Now, when I just had one dog, I would let the one dog lick the cat plate when the cat was done eating. But once you have more than one dog, you can't do that because they can smell each other's breath and they get jealous. So, yeah, sometimes the human has to change their behavior to make sure that the animals get it. I think I want a different color. Look at that orange cat. No, it's still really wet. Okay. Anyway, I hope that you're able to at least, you know, investigate that. And just remember, if you do decide to foster it or adopt it, make the intro outside. And if they're opposite sexes, they'll get along way better for first introduction. Yeah, everybody's got their own personality, and your guys, they'll recognize it. If the dog doesn't have a problem with cats, then the cat will adopt the dog. My German Shepherd thought he was a cat because he came in as an 8-week-old puppy, and my female cat was about to give birth. She gave birth 2 weeks after we adopted the puppy. I was against adopting the puppy, knowing we were going to have a litter of kittens that we had to take care of. But my boyfriend at the time insisted that we have this puppy, so we did. But when he came in, at first, my pregnant cat did not want anything to do with him. But when she went into labor, I think it's a safety feature to make sure that you make friends with your enemies to protect your offspring. She adopted the puppy just like he was one of her kittens. And she would wash him, and he would curl up with her, and he grew up babysitting those kittens. I'd come home from a gig, and all of the kittens, I wasn't trying to keep them, but all the kittens would be spiky, like they were little punk rockers, because Thor had to wash them all. And when he washed them, he had the big German Shepherd tongue, and all their hair would be spiked, like they'd been moosed. It was really funny. Well, that is true. You would have to accept or attempt to take on some of that responsibility to make it easier on them, at least for the walkings and feeding, picking up poo. So if you don't want the responsibility, you really can't ask other people to take it on for you, because automatically they'll be taking the financial responsibility. Even getting it out of a shelter, you usually have to pay for that to prove that you're serious about adopting a pet, not taking home something to torture or eat. Yeah, it would be good for her mental and physical health to walk the dog too. But dogs need multiple walks a day. We did morning, lunchtime, and after dinner. Also, most of the time, because we were so far out in the country with woods, I could let them out on their own. Nobody had an emergency where they couldn't get out of the house fast enough, you know. So, also, the kind of diets they had, they didn't have those kinds of emergencies. Our dogs were overall remarkably healthy. Our rescue of Goldie, the tripod, unfortunately, when we rescued her, she became a very expensive proposition because of heartworm. And that was expensive and difficult to treat. And yeah, that was a chore for sure, because she had the runs, and you couldn't run the dog because you were trying to keep them as still as possible, which meant that a lot of accidents happened in my living room trying to get to the door. Gary! Yeah, animals are wonderful. They are responsibilities. And it just depends on what you are willing to do, you know? my situation was way different from yours. So I had, to say I had 1,000 acres to roam is not an exaggeration at all. We had 91 acres straight out behind us. Our neighbor, part of the family, had 101 acres. On the other side of us, we had 300 acres and 180 acres. And that was before we even got to Green River Game Land, which we were free to roam. So, very different situation, very different. Here in a city, I could never do that. Hey Gary, there's a potential for snow coming to Georgia. Okay, well, you know, I should probably do that. Oh my God, I've been on for over 2 hours here. We're going to sing Sweet Dreams and go. Although I'll stay a couple minutes extra for Gary. So my grandson, to you I sing, sweet dreams be yours, dear, if dreams there be. I'll be back in the morning, definitely, at 10:30. I see you tomorrow, darling. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sleep well. And Gary is expecting snow in the morning. Ah! You'll be at work. Oh, so you'll be able to watch it. Cool. Oh, to some degree. Maui, are you still here? Okay, I do not like this. I taped it all over nothing. I'm trying to do that plate for my friend's book. It has to have these 3 elements in it. Okay, just not crazy about it. I suppose I should draw this out on a different kind of paper because I'm running low on the good stuff. I mean, not low, I'm not in danger. But I could do this on scrap paper and decide which way I want that to read. So Gary, I'm sure I will, my break will be during the snow. That's awesome. I am not sure when we are supposed to get ours. Icy mix late. It'll be down in the 20s overnight. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, it should be freezing by 8 tonight. And tomorrow morning, rain turning to snow, but then sun. A sun shower. Then more snow, more snow, more snow. All to 4. Okay. I don't mind. Yay. I know. Well, usually, like even New York City, when that gets blanketed with an inch or more, it makes everything so quiet. It's not an illusion. It really does blanket the sound. But down south, with people terrified to be in the snow, even if it's just a half an inch. It would naturally just get quieter because everybody's off the road, which they should be because they don't know how to drive in the snow. When was the last time you had a good snow down in Georgia? Do you remember? (1842). None of us were here. I am gonna go. I need to make myself some din. Trying to figure out the design. I need a pot with the adult plant, a pot of soup that you use the adult plant in, and the baby plant to show how it's growing. Maybe I should put these together. All right, we gotta do this, but not now. You're eating cold chicken. It snowed. My girlfriend went to college in Atlanta, Georgia, and they had a blizzard there. And she had snow multiple years there. How far are you from Atlanta? I had to fix the food idol? What's a food idol? Oh, a food aisle. Yeah. Show me the before and after. Why? So they're just basically unloading stock to the shelves without paying attention to any kind of artistry, proper display techniques, none of that. They open a box and throw it up there. That's why they need people to tell them what to do. It's a shame people don't take more pride in their jobs. Even if it's not some fancy job, every job counts. Everything is important in its own way. We've just gotten to the habit of devaluing people who aren't making millions a year, forgetting all the people that built the country, making minimum wage. You mean by the registers? You know, all the impulse buying stuff by the registers, when you go through the aisle to get around to go into the register area, where we count on there being candy and chips and all the stuff that you don't see elsewhere in the store. See, I thought that TJ Maxx had very specific instructions of where they want things displayed. I have never been in a TJ Maxx that did not have all that junk in the checkout area to entice people to impulsively buy something as they're checking out. Jeez. I wouldn't think that the one in front would be able to dictate that. Yeah, definitely. Nuts and candy and chips. That's where we go for that kind of crap. If I'm out there to buy a blouse or a sweater or something, I'm not checking out that kind of thing. It's when I'm going out with my sweater or shirt, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to grab some of that chocolate whatever, you know. All right. Ay. Well, if their sales drop, it's not your fault. Right? Well, anyway. Oh, wait a minute. Did you send me a picture? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's just a mess. Too much on the eye. No sense of order at all. Oh, that's way better. Yeah, you don't want to have an anxiety attack when you walk into the aisle. That's much better, Carrie. Yeah, you got an eye for that. Yeah, much better. I have not seen a mess like that outside of like dollar stores that nobody's paying attention to before you fixed it. Good work. Good work. You can't teach common sense, can you? Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's really funny because, remember these? The lights, it's too dark out now. We don't have this lemon cookies, that intense lemon flavor. They had a lemon and a lime, and I bought both of them. They are delicious. So not only are they delicious, the box is so impressive that I decided I should turn it into something else, because it's a very sturdy, well-designed box. So my feeling is like, well, why waste it? There must be something I can do with this. I felt that this was good value. I thought it was for the price. Let me see if a price tag is still on here. Oh, no, some of it was pulled off. $2.99 maybe? I felt it was a reasonable price for what I got. And it was exquisitely lemony, and the lime was exquisitely limey. So I would say, yeah, I'd buy these again. And I very rarely have that to say about these. Oh, neat. A house with vines. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I was thinking of turning it into a bag, like a purse. Covering it with some of my fancier, more exotic papers, or doing something more funky, like leaving the front of it that way and painting and strengthening everything else. I started by painting the bottom of it to make this stick to itself better. But yeah, it's such a nice strong box, I just couldn't throw it away. I go, yeah, after all that effort, put this in recycling, it seems like a waste. And as a matter of fact, they're recommending now, because there's not enough recycling incentives, so, financially, they're recommending that if you get anything that's made of plastic, don't throw it right away, see if you can make something else out of it. Same thing with cardboard, paper, anything you can use again, change into something else, repurpose. This is going to be a real important skill. So now everything I look at, I'm also looking at with an eye of upcycling. Now, this is not such a weird idea. I'm seeing people using stuff that was basically advertising and making it into something kitschy. Excuse me. So, I can see making myself a more three-dimensional lemon and gluing that on, just, for fun. Oh yeah, I save them, well, it depends on the kind of bag. I usually have bags, but when I get a delivery, I get them in the Walmart bags. So I make sure anything that's clean and not a wrinkled mess gets folded carefully and saved, because once a month there are food boxes that come to this building. And we give away a lot of the stuff in our boxes. So those bags are for people to fill up and take stuff away. I have done some good stuff with corn muffins. I made some really good corn muffins everybody flipped out over, with cream cheese and orange marmalade. I topped the muffins with that. Oh man, devoured like that. So that was a good one. And yeah, the corn muffin mix, Jiffy corn muffin mix, is a real bargain. Except when they're like charging 95 cents. Those were 35 cents a box. And when I saw Walmart jump that price to 65 cents, I about went through the roof. Because it's just self-rising corn flour. So I also have bags of just plain corn flour and containers of baking powder. I can make my own from scratch. But if it's cheap enough, it's really convenient, because you can use one box and make 6 muffins or pancakes or waffles. And if you need to make a dozen, like I did for my friends downstairs, I used 2 boxes. Yes, canned corn is, I'll do that when I'm making cornbread. It keeps it moist, and I like having the extra texture of the corn. But I was making my corn muffins into more of a breakfast dessert. I wanted them to be more sunshiny. So I whipped up some cream cheese, like half a package, with some confectioner's sugar, and then dollop that, well, just swirled in a little bit, but not mixed it all the way in, a big spoonful of orange marmalade. So it was kind of like an orange and white swirl, and drop a tablespoon on top of each muffin, and then bake them, and they just poofed up, and oh, cheesy, orangey, corny. Yeah, that too. Yeah, because cornmeal, and especially baking powder, can be a little bitter. That's what I never liked about it. It had a kind of bitterness to it. Okay, my dear, I am going to go make myself something to eat. Actually, I have stuff to make a really good salad and a couple of big bites of salmon that I cooked yesterday and saved just for the occasion. They were amazing. I'm going to make them again because everybody loved them. And it was a good breakfast one. That's why I'm pissed off. I can't figure out what's wrong with my recordings done on my phone. Because I want to be able to do more kitchen stuff and show you all kinds of shortcuts that don't cost an arm and a leg, but make things more nutritious or tasty or just different from the usual boring stuff. I used to make those blueberry muffins for Glenn. I'd make them once a week. Every day that I made one, I wrapped it up and put it in his lunch. But then I put them all right in the freezer. And every day I just took one out and stuck it right in his lunchbox. And by lunchtime, or his first snack time, it was thawed and it was perfect as if I had just baked it. So there's things you can do to, if you make the initial effort to make the muffins, you can freeze them and you'll have them, when you have the impulse for one. So go shower, lay down, relax. I am going to go 60 candy bars. What? They just had them laying there on the shelf? Like, freaking crazy. That's really bad. I gotta say, your managers would not last under me for very long. Don't forget, we had 10 really good years before he just became a complete dick. So, Now 100? Well, I'm going to go make myself a delightful salad. And I will see you in the morning, although you'll be working. Enjoy the snow. It's so rare where you are. Yeah, we have that problem here, but we're going to start a new thing. We're going to have monthly meetings with the tenants so that we are informed about what's going on and we can offer our opinions about what's going on. Oh, I will. I will. You have a lovely evening. Rest well, dear. Aloha. I'm glad you'll be feeling better very shortly, Maui. Are they delivering your antibiotics, or do you have to get them? I have a pharmacy that delivers. All right. Well, you feel better and you take care of yourself. I'm glad they finally figured out what the hell is bothering you. So sweet dreams to you too, guys. I'll see you in the morning. If